Hi, everyone. I'm Sandy Hernandez, founder of the Retail Muse. Welcome to Store Wars, the NRF recap episode. So, this is part three. If you missed part one and two, they're up on YouTube. Definitely check those out. And today's focus is going to be a bit about fashion and beauty, touching a bit on the trends, but also the main event, which is inviting a couple of my retail expert friends along to kind of debrief what we saw during NRF when we were out visiting shops, as well as hear kind of their hot takes on trends that they're seeing, and just really have a discussion and just invite you along on the ride. If you attended NRF, I'm sure you were like in back-to-back sessions and maybe didn't have time to go and see stores yourself. Or maybe you didn't get a chance to actually attend NRF, or maybe you just don't even know what NRF is, but you love retail. So this session hopefully will be interesting if you fit into any of those categories. And I'm really excited for this one because I'm hoping this will be a more spicy one where we have some interesting discussions, given who I've invited along for this episode. So I'm going to introduce you to my very first guest for today. He is Mr. Ian Scott, of Ian Scott Retail Consulting. You can see that in the background, but also you're on mute.
Nope, nope,
Okay,
I'm
perfect.
not on mute.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so welcome, Ian. It was good to see you in New York, get a bit of touring around with you, and also seeing you last week in London briefly, getting to see a few shops and explore some shops together. And now again on the screen. So welcome.
Thank you for inviting me. I feel
Yeah.
honoured to be on these with so many prestigious people. So a pleasure to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, nice. And then now gonna invite the second person on. So we have Alicia Esposito from Future Commerce. Welcome. And also you're at home today, right? So we're both sitting in the New
I
York City
am.
area or
Yep.
semi New York City area.
New Jersey, born and raised, but a quick car or train ride to the city. So
Yes. And Ian you're in where are you today?
I'm in the UK. I always say just south of Manchester is easier for most people to understand. If I gave more details, most people wouldn't have a clue. But yeah, the north of England.
Yeah. So I think it's like I'm excited for this conversation. One, because Ian, I mean, you obviously tour the world and you've come to New York many times. And Alicia, you're just like the content you create is incredible. I love the Future Commerce newsletters, and also just your entire career of the content type of content you put out. So I'm excited to hear both your takes on what you think is interesting in New York at the moment. But before we do that, I did want to, kick off with a little bit of an icebreaker game, as I always do, and have a bit of a lightning round. Um, can you still hear me? Because yesterday or earlier this week,
yeah,
I don't even know
Yeah.
which day it was. I've been doing so many of these lives. Um,
time is a social construct. It's not real.
all right. So I'm just gonna give you a bit of a prompt, and then you just respond with the first thing that comes into your head. All right. And I'm gonna start with Ian first, and then Alicia. So, okay, one word to describe NRF.
Bloated,
What is it?
bloated,
Bloated. Okay.
bloated. As in it's like
Yes, big.
overinflated. Yes.
The the the
Kind of a compliment.
the environment or the people?
Oh, the environment, the event. It's just this huge mammoth thing that sort of is bigger than the sum of its parts. So I thought
Mm.
bloated was kind of complimentary about it.
Okay. Alicia?
My turn. Oh, I don't know how I'm going to top that. Overwhelming. There's a
Okay.
lot happening, and I think getting to distill and make sense of the jargon, the buzzwords, and everything that you're consuming from a sensory perspective. It's always overwhelming and secondary depleting. Just like like you're just like flat by the end.
Yeah. I would agree. Okay, so favorite street or area to shop in New York?
To me, the one that immediately sprang to mind when I knew you were going to ask this question is Mulberry Street in Soho. The first time I walked down it was about a year ago, actually, for store tours for NRF the previous year. And I just love how it's full of beautiful independent stores.
Mm,
You know, you have a health and beauty store, and then you have a chocolate store, and then you have a stationery store, and then there's a restaurant. And it's a wonderful mishmash of beautiful independent stores. And wherever I go in the world, I always make a beeline for those sort of areas where you have the independent people doing amazing things, not limited by corporate guidelines. And Mulberry is one of the best examples of that for me.
yep. That's
I
one
love
block
that.
away from where I used to live. Yeah. Or one parallel over. I was on Mott before. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, next street, yeah.
Yeah.
And I am going to one echo that. I think that's a great choice. But I mean, Prince Street has it all too. I think it's a really great
Hmm.
cross section of brands, not just from a age perspective, like more established brands versus up and coming ones, but also mainstream brands versus independent brands, and also category representation too. It's just when I think trip to the city just to wander, like Prince Street is always the place I want to go.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Nice. All right. Next, best first impression. So whether maybe it was like a store window or a wow entrance or maybe a greeting by an employee, but what was like who left like a good first impression with you?
I would have to say 113 Spring, which I know is one of Jack's favorite stores, and he pointed it out to me. And as you walk past, there's this huge stretched fabric sort of curve running all the way around. And I walked past several times before I realized it was the store that Jack had talked about. And it kept catching my eye. And I always think that's the best test as a shopper walking by is, does it catch your eye and make you want to look and go in? And that certainly did. So that was, and also it's one of the most unique retail experiences in Soho. So I thought the window did a great job of creating that curiosity and distraction for me.
Yeah. And it's not even, it's also just a kind of a space that is not defined just by retail, but it's by it's
Mm,
more of like a community space meets like
yeah,
health, modern health, services, AI, tech. It's a collection
bit
of
of
different
everything, isn't it?
experimental concepts together under a roof. Just cool.
Fascinating space, yeah.
Mhm.
Now,
Alicia?
is this during first impression during NRF or just in general?
Well, I guess like recent, because I know you spend more time in New York, so a
Okay.
recent, yeah, example.
I have to say, anytime I go into Tiffany's The Landmark, I'm always just
Yeah.
engulfed in it
Hmm.
and it takes my breath away. So maybe a bit of a obvious choice, but I think one, the expansiveness of the space plus the way they're able to incorporate every inch of real estate into the storytelling. Like during the holiday season, they use the windows to project like falling snow and like a snowman wearing a Tiffany blue scarf. Like they just
Yeah.
always do the thing that
Yeah.
we always talk about that brands should do, right? Which is
Yeah.
look at every possible moment for immersiveness and tap into one, our innate desire for exploration, and two, tap into seasonality, tap into holiday, tap into culture to really create a moment. And I just think
Mhm.
every time I go in there, it's a moment.
Yeah. And that may come up later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great example. All right. So what shop in New York is your happy place? It's like a warm
I'm going
hug.
to sound like a broken record. Yeah, if anyone has heard any of the previous episodes, I'm going to sound like a broken record. But the one that has this impact on me is Buck Mason.
Yes.
There's just some magical quality about that place. I call it a 1+1=3 store, where you look at all the individual elements and you go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then you combine them all, and it's greater than the sum of its parts. And I know I'm referring to it a bit later on, so I won't go into too much detail, but I always go in there expecting a nice time, and I come out with a huge smile on my face. So I think that meets the criteria really, really well.
Yeah. Alicia?
That's a really good one.
Mhm.
And I honestly saw that store for the first time on your store tour during NRF.
Ah,
I've never gone in before. And I walked in and just immediately hearing the sound of like true vinyl, like Fleetwood Mac playing on vinyl. I was
Yeah.
like, ooh, okay, I like it here immediately.
yeah.
But I have to say, my happy place is Muir and Grand. I'm
Mm.
not sure if anyone has heard of this brand, but you probably know the products. Like they're the really chunky, like grandma sweaters. This is not Muir and Grand, but they have like really maximalist designs, very New York forward. And you walk in and it's just like it's just fun, whimsical, lots of like trinkets and things to see. And it just really carries the essence, in my opinion, of what a true New York brand with like personality represents. So no matter where the location, I personally love the one in Little Italy on Mulberry, actually.
Mhm.
But everywhere you go, it just feels like so the brand and so my happy place. So I love it here.
Nice. Oh. And then speaking of the flowery things, I just realized I forgot to mention I'm sitting in between two flowers.
Yep. I made the comment. I
Yes.
followed through.
It's in my
Class-
contract. I have to wear a flowery shirt.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you don't have to say anything. You're always wearing flowers.
I'm actually wearing one of the things I got at the Marine Layer pop-up during NRF, which they had like this customization station where we had that event. And so they kind of you can have like patches and things. So this is like a sweater that they made, and then I have it like it's hard to read, but it's like they printed Muse. It's hard to read with the cursive, but it's
Oh,
Muse. And it
fun.
was like, yeah, it's like
Brilliant.
it's such a great example of, creating something unique in the space, and also what they did to make it separate from the overall store experience, because it was using a former like speakeasy club to create that whole customization bar that's only exists in that New York location and San Francisco. So it was really cool.
I love
So
that.
that's your work uniform now, is it?
Yes,
That's your
yeah, it has
you
to
have to
be.
wear it at every
And also a walking
public
billboard. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm gonna do a quick game within a game. So, Inception. It's going to be a quick like retail rivals. So I'm gonna give you two like either fashion or beauty names, and you just say your answer. So it's kind of which one. It's X versus X, and you just pick. So I'm gonna
Okay, and you
share
pick your
them.
fave. Okay.
Yeah, or whatever you for whatever reason. Okay. So Louis Vuitton versus Hermes.
Louis.
I say Louis too.
Yeah.
If we're viewing this from retail space, not brand in general, because to me Louis Vuitton does retail space brilliant.
Yeah, like retail. Okay, this Aloe versus Vuori versus Lulu.
Oh,
Right,
aloe.
I'll go first. Well, I think they're all terrible and they all look exactly the same.
That's why I was exasperated.
It's like you've got a beige interior, you've got no graphics, you've got black metal railing. And I actually did a post on LinkedIn going, if you swapped all the fascias around, I don't think anyone would notice. There's this mad march towards beige blandness in that sector,
Mhm.
and I find it astonishing that someone isn't going, right, I'm going to add some personality and color to differentiate. How they all want to morph into the same look is a mystery to me, I must admit.
I'm just gonna jump in here too.
Yeah.
One, agreed. I think of all sectors, athleisure, wellness has so much opportunity for creativity and storytelling. So it's kind of discouraging
Absolutely.
because wellness is such a emotional and fitness is such an emotional journey and personal journey. I just think there's so much opportunity left untapped.
Yeah.
But two, I think of all of them, at least Aloe has those opportunities and those moments for classes, for workshops, for more like meditative spaces. So I have seen, I think it's their store on Fifth. the upper levels, like there is like usage of greenery, like different
Mm-hmm.
textures. So like there are little hints of it. And, you know, a good friend of mine, Harry Cunningham, is on their team. And I think he always does great work. But I think of all of them, I think Aloe, at least you see glimmers of that creativity coming out.
Yeah, and I do like that
It's
they
a
do
start.
these massive experiences and events that are not necessarily like in their stores, but to continue to build that community um,
Yep.
with or without their stores. So I think that they
Yep.
do a good job with that.
But agree with Ian's point. I think the flattening of store design and store
Hmm.
experience in sectors where personality could be a differentiator, it's kind of discouraging.
Yeah. Okay, on a similar vein but different, Gymshark versus On, which I had an episode all about them.
You go first, Alicia. I need to build up to this one.
Yeah, I'll say Gymshark. However, for New York specifically, I would like to see a bit more.
Yeah, agree.
That's all I'll say.
I absolutely agree. Both of them, they're next door to each other in London, which is where I
And here
first saw
too,
them.
and in New
Hmm.
York.
Oh, yes, they
Yeah.
are, aren't they? On is a Swiss company, and you end up with exactly what you might stereotypically position a Swiss company. It's sleek, it's polished, it's stainless steel, it's clinical. Um, and I was very critical when the store opened. There was no communication. The layout was weird. They were trying to poorly copy Nike's sort of ground floor theatre entrance area and getting it wrong. In London, you couldn't even get upstairs; it was too crowded, and they had seating at the bottom of the stairs, so people could sit down and wait before they could go upstairs. Having said that, I was in there last month, and there was warmth and communication and a sense of fun and information. So they're moving forward and improving. Gymshark, to be fair, were the same. Their first store opened, and it's the prime example of an online brand learning about how a physical store is different. Again, product presentation was weak, category communication non-existent. But then they've started to evolve. Every time I come back into that store, something's improved and moved. And they use the space so well in London. There's events, there's activities. You can lift everything off the shop floor and do a workout. They have a one-to-one sort of personalized shopping experience, sweat rooms, and you can book things on the app. There are elements of that in New York, but to be fair, the store isn't finished. You know, the upper levels are still being developed. And the
Yeah.
challenge with that old Schofield store is it's very long and very narrow. And I was learning on one of the tours where we had the designer, Alex, explaining the concept. They weren't allowed to put mannequins in the window, which to me is a crazy thing. But it's just one of the quirks of that location.
Hmm.
So I think that will evolve. I still think the weakest part of Gymshark is product merchandising and display. When you go to what they call their core stores, the smaller ones, they don't feel as powerful as the flagships because you're not getting the experience and the events and that sort of multi-use of the space. So I'm
Mm.
hoping New York will be like London. The London store is one of the best examples of really using the space because so many activity and sport brands build in activities in their stores and they're sat gathering dust after 6 months. Not with Gymshark. There's always energy and activity. So I want to come and visit the Gymshark store in New York in 6 months or 12 months' time to see
Hmm.
how they finished off the upper floors, which is where the event space. But On is still way too clinical, unfortunately. So I'd say
Yeah.
Gymshark at the moment has the edge.
Yeah.
My hope is that Gymshark will start to take cues from all of the incredible pop-ups that they've done. I had a chance to see one that they did in New York this past summer that kind of had this like superhero layer theme. And of course, it was related
Mm.
to a specific product coming back. They had this incredible like, oh, the product announcement leaked and what are we gonna do? And it showed up in Reddit and all these like underground communities. And it really had this like viral amplification tied
Mm.
to it. But the actual execution of the space was flawless. So compelling, so fun. And they did
Mm.
manage to bring that community element into it. So that's like the one thing I'm holding
Mm.
out for. They always do such an incredible job with their pop-ups and activations that
Yeah.
I want to see more of that start to shine through.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree. Out of the two of those, out of those two, I guess for interesting retail experiences, I'm, rooting for Gymshark. On is definitely like product led, product excellence. But Gymshark I feel like they're so much more than physical space. So I feel like
Mm.
sometimes it's a backdrop to kind of what they're building and a movement they're building. So I'm holding out hope that they, as you said, Alicia, bring some of that like pop up magic
Mm.
into their flagship. All right, one last one, and then we'll get on to the fun, more fun. We're still in the icebreaker. The last one is like dossier versus fragrances, like branded fragrances.
I'll go first. I love what Dossier sort of legitimized the copying of fragrances, I think, in many respects. And we've seen a lot of these rip-off, copy, maybe I'm sure the more polite words and probably less litigious words to use. But I like how Dossier embraced that sort of area and legitimized it in many ways. I've always found the fragrance sector bizarre. I mean, huge, obscene margins in fragrance. The advertising is bizarre. You know, watching Johnny Depp play guitar in the desert, you remember Johnny Depp. And even now, I cannot remember which brand did that advert. And I think this is, to me, as an
Sauvage.
outsider,
I was going to say that
there you go.
Sauvage.
Fair enough, fair enough. Okay, so it does work on the target audience at least, but not on me. But you know, fragrance and the whole promotion of it is smoke and mirrors, and I just find so much of it is just bizarre. Can I swear? Can I say
Yeah, yeah.
bullshit? I just did. It's
I was
bullshit.
going to say, way to ask later.
Yeah. Ask forgiveness, not permission. But it's and I look at it as an outsider, just going, really, the people buy into this? And I do wonder that the whole promotion of fragrance is because we've always done it this way. And I love it when someone takes a different approach. I know Jack referenced Boy Smells, the store that you
Yeah.
took us to, Sandy, which is a fresh approach. Dossier, in their own way, are taking a fresh approach as well. And to me, it's always welcome because we talked about all the athleisure having a sameness in store design. I think fragrance has a sameness in the way it's just historically promoted itself. And anyone that either pokes fun or takes a different approach is going to stand out, I think. And I
Mhm.
welcome that.
Yeah. Alicia?
Can I just say ditto?
Yeah.
I think you
Yes,
covered it all.
perfect.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So now, thank you for that because I think it does tee up nicely now into a just a quick because I do want to get to your top store picks. If you could just share, the spotlight for this episode was more on fashion and beauty, just a quick, focus on that. Is there like what one trend are you like really excited about or you think, brands should really pay attention to that you've been seeing? Let's
It,
start
to me,
in
it's
yeah.
health is. Oh, sorry, carry on.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
To me, when brands fully embody their image in a store experience, and I often say that since COVID, I think we've appreciated the role of the store a little more because we were denied it for a while, and I think there was that appreciation of social interaction, physical space use. We're also seeing how there's a more comprehensive integration between social channels and online and the physical store. We understand that symbiosis between the two. And I love brands that understand this and sort of create a cohesive experience. You know, the likes of Sephora have completely understood that most of their shopping journeys start with a phone in hand and they build that interaction and then they deliver it in store. And I really like that sort of thing. And then you see brands that can just tell stories as well. And I think that sort of rewarding people, forgetting going into the physical space, that we see, like Gymshark's experience, for example, or Buck Mason creating that calming atmosphere. You know, those elements to me, I think, are where we're really seeing progress with stores in this sector.
Alicia?
Great.
Because I know you had a few ideas. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, the point of the stores embodying the brand ties to one of the trends I'm excited to be seeing more of, which is more personality in the store.
Hmm.
Looking at it more as a place for people to feel truly welcome and connected. through a cultural lens, through a community lens. And that sometimes means being a bit more whimsical, a bit more maximalist instead of, applying the same modern centric practices that we've been seeing since I want to say early 2020s. So we're starting to see some glimmers
Mm-hmm.
of that, and I'm only hoping it's going to accelerate. Um, I'm very excited to see the integration of more analog moments of connection. Obviously, tech is the silent enabler, and I think more retailers are starting to recognize that it doesn't have to be so in your face. But I think the rise of, analog hobbies such as like board game nights and mahjong, but also the rise of trends like grandma bags, right? Where, Gen Z is carrying around totes where they have knitting, where they have, coloring books and all of these like analog moments where they can just disconnect and actually be present.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing that come more into stores. So you mentioned your sweater customization, but also things like workshops and moments for experts to come in and talk about the lifestyle surrounding their products, not necessarily how-to centric content. So I'm excited to see how other brands integrate that. Levi's has this new initiative called the Wear Longer Project, and I think it's still relatively new, but the goal is to educate consumers, especially Gen Z, of how to customize and mend their jeans. And I'm like, oh, like that's a weekly workshop. That's a station in a store. In fact, the Levi's at American Dream Mall has a customization station. So all of those little moments where it's like, okay, I have to be present to get maximum value from this experience. Coach has something similar too with their creative
Yeah.
bars. Um, and we're starting to see more brands just create experiences committed to that mission, which makes me super happy. And it makes it feel more homey and like you belong there. And it's not just, okay, we want you to look around, buy something, and get out as soon as possible. Um, Finally, the one trend I'm excited about, obviously, future commerce. We're always talking about the intersection of culture and commerce. Um, and that's showing up through hospitality, so cafes, restaurants, etc. Obviously don't do that just because, but the other angle to it that I'm starting to see more of is more art in the commerce
Mm.
experience. So Tiffany is a very extreme example. I mean, if you go into their store, it's a museum essentially, right? But Warby Parker's Soho store, I think, has a great artistic layer to it that represents the community of New York, that represents creators that align with their brands. I think when they opened, they had this, I'm not sure if they still do, they have a little, essentially like a vending machine where you can get exclusive prints just from that store. So understanding that innately commerce is a cultural experience
Mm-hmm.
and art is culture and understanding that Venn diagram, so to speak, is super exciting.
Yeah. Ian, anything to add to that? I mean, those are all great examples.
No, they are, and I love that idea of art because I remember when I first visited a Warby Parker, which was in Chicago back in the
Oh,
day,
nice.
and I did store
Mm.
tours. Yeah. Um, and there they were explaining, they had a book with all the art, and they were explaining how they use local artists for each store, and the art was a huge part of that. And that storytelling sense of community, I absolutely agree with. You know what, Sandy, would have been so much easier. You just needed one of us, me or Alicia. We basically agreed on absolutely every point. We just go, what they said.
Yeah.
But it's so true, and I love seeing that. I think there seems to be just a greater appreciation of the benefits of the physical store,
Mm-hmm.
and we're seeing more and
Yeah.
more brands utilizing its uniqueness, and doubling down on the things that digital can't do, which is, that interaction with humans, touching and seeing and interacting with the product and things like that, and interacting with the space that you can't do online. And I
Yeah.
think that's hugely beneficial to everyone. I think the long-term future of stores as well.
Yeah. As the more techy we get, I think the more human we'll get, I hope, in the stores.
Hmm.
Just to
Mm.
counterbalance that. I think the other thing I find interesting just about New York, specifically especially as malls have disappeared and things like that, is that you're kind of seeing that version of it in our streets. So, like the building up of Scent Row over time, like the little like the fragrance area in Elizabeth Street, how you're seeing different in beauty, collect and open up shops there. So it kind of, you would think it's a competition, but it's not. It's like you see like different manifestations of perfume, fragrance, beauty all come to life in that space. So it kind of creates a destination for a shopper, and it also showcases how you can stand out, because you're being compared against, other ones. So I think for a shopper, it's like a great, experience. You can go like a one place to get everything beauty, like Covent Garden, right? In
I mean,
London.
yeah, and you see that. I mean, certainly in the UK, for example, car dealerships are all together, and it's the same principle as Elizabeth Street in that everyone benefits from the collective footfall because that's where you go for that category. And then for the shopper, like you say, it's almost like one-stop shopping. So you go to that street and you know you'll have 30 choices or 20 choices. Uh, and I love that perspective you got there, that you have to sharpen your act because your competitors are literally next door. So your store design, your window, your promotion, your people, your offer and experience have to be top notch because you won't survive with so much competition literally next door to you. And to me, that's the best of retail. You don't want to run and hide. You want to be front and center, squaring up with your competitors, and the customers prefer it as well because it's easier shopping.
Yeah, and even with that street, you see different versions of going to market. So you have, obviously,
Mm.
if you want to own your own stores and own the strategy, you have that. Plenty of examples there. But then you also have the ability, like with Parasol Projects, which is giving you like pop-up spaces, so a brand can enter. There are a couple I think they have on that street where a brand can enter for a short period or long period of time temporarily to test, being on Elizabeth Street. And then you have fully outsourcing your retail, so retail as a service with Leap, also on that street. So it's kind of just, I love that street,
Mm,
how it's evolved into this like little microcosm of beauty experimentation and going to market as well.
definitely.
All right, so are you guys ready to move on to your
Hmm.
top picks and sharing those with us? So
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with Ian, and so Ian, I'm gonna ask you, just you'll kick off with kind of one of the retail misses, that, or one that didn't, meet your expectations or was a little bit underwhelming, if you want, and then I have your top five teed up, if that works for you.
Okay, yeah, I thought of two stores. Jack stole one of them on his
Okay.
episode, so I'm going to take the other one, which may surprise a few people, but to me, I was massively underwhelmed by the Target store in Soho. It's
Yeah.
had a huge amount of hype. I mean, visually, it's quite stunning. These sort of big red, sort of curved feature areas. But I walked in and I was like, I don't get this. It feels like an Instagrammable moment. Um, and I was told by store staff that they're going to be putting local products and unique offers and things like that in the space. And then you walk towards the back, and there's the beauty area, which is also, built around a concept of these curves and circles, like Target logo. And then you go downstairs, and it is bog standard Target, underneath. So I was a bit like, it's almost no trousers. Almost, it felt as an experience as you come in. There was almost like an overwhelming wow from the structure, and then when you're looking through, going, I don't quite get what you're trying to do here. And then I'm like, so is this a one-off concept store? And on my store tours, I did say to people, it almost feels like there's a new marketing director trying to make their mark by going, let's do something really cool and different. Let's find the cool bit of New York and we'll do it. And no one's turned around and gone, why, how, what happens afterwards. It just felt like a slightly overblown, superficial social media moment to me.
Yep. I would agree.
I mean, it's your local Target as well, isn't it, Sandy?
It
So,
is that's why it
without putting you on
upset
the spot,
me.
I know you have strong views as well.
No, it upset me because
Yeah.
I did shop there, and it's just like everything is now, you can't really find anything anymore, and it's kind of just that central bullseye part is I understand what they're trying to do with it, but it's now just become a way to just pass through the store and setting up more barriers to actually getting to the products that you wanted to come there
Yes.
for.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate that they opened them up, that they're no longer under lock and key, but they're not merchandised well, and they've
Yeah.
stripped down their assortment. So it's kind of it's difficult to shop there uh, for the regular things that you wanted to get from Target, your routine purchases.
I
So we'll
agree.
see what happens. um,
Yes. Yes.
yeah. Okay, so I will tee up now your top 5.
So number 5 is Tiffany, and I could just revert back to everyone listen to exactly what Alicia said because she pretty well summarized it to me. The reason I put it on the list, I was tempted to put Printemps on, but one, I knew other people would choose it, and two, what I loved was revisiting Tiffany after having not been there for a couple of years, and it really reminded me of the incredible attention to detail and beauty of the space. It's what, 7 floors? Correct me wrong, 8 floors. It's an enormous space, and having come from a design and shop fitting background, looking around behind every little fixture and detail, you're going, that's beautifully done. That's beautifully finished. Everything was tactile. We were fortunate enough to have one of the tours from one of the brand ambassadors, and understanding the approach and the history and the heritage. I don't think I've seen a single brand create such a flagship experience that is so memorable, and then coming back 2 years later is equally as impactful and memorable as well. So to me, it deserves a place in the top 5. Okay, the Meadow. This is on Mulberry Street, my favourite street. And I discovered this just over a year ago, walking down there with Jack Stratton. We were going to look at some other stores, and I went, "What is this store?" And I went in, had a queue. It's tiny. It's about 15, 12, 15 feet wide, about 50 feet long, and they source chocolates from all around the world. They source salt from all around the world, and they also sell bitters, the things you add into cocktails. And you go in, and that wall you can see there 350 chocolates sourced from around the world, and they're all presented in tiered levels of cocoa content, so there is some consistency to that. But you talk to the staff, and they will talk about the name of the farmer that grows the cocoa for a particular product. You know, the authenticity and enthusiasm of the staff is so infectious, and you go in there and you are mesmerized. You know, this is not cheap product, but you come away completely believing in the authenticity, the quality of the product. And I bought several things from there at eye-watering prices when you compare to a typical grocery store, but you sort of cherish it and brandish it like a badge of honor. It's a fabulous store. Okay, Grandma did it better, and I know Matthew covered this on the first tour as well. But like him, I had heard about this store, and I went to visit it on my last day before heading home. Upcycling, reselling, vintage, however you want to call it, is growing in popularity now, and we're seeing that it's not the cheap option now; it's a cool option. And sometimes the price point in vintage is as high, if not higher, than the equivalent new products. But there is an appeal to this. But the storytelling here is the most beautiful standout thing. You can see here these little messages, and the store manager explained to me that they will engage people on social media to get them to bring products in, or they go to their houses, and they then try and seek the backstories. You know, whose is it? Is it your mother's, your grandparents? And they also get little stories about when was it first worn. So you get photographs where possible of the people that originally bought the product, little bit of a story. And as you can see there with the phone image on Instagram, they then use AI to create stories, animated stories about those people, talking about the backstory, and introducing the products as well. It's a tiny little store, very subtly done, bare walls, rails, simple messaging for the categories, products and merchandise by decade. And you walk around with a huge smile on your face. You talk to the staff, you read the stories of the product, and it draws you in so successfully. It's a fabulous store. Now, this very nearly was my first choice. The Longchamp store in Soho. I first went into a year ago, and out of curiosity, I peered in because the store is actually upstairs, and you have to go up these amazing stairs to get in. And anyone in retail will tell you how difficult it is to get people to come upstairs. I think department stores lose 15% of their footfall every level as you go up. And so with their whole shop floor being upstairs, they got Thomas Heatherwick, who I think he designed a vessel in Hudson's Yard as well, to design these stairs, and he's a personal friend of the Longchamp family. And they did this beautiful organic curvature, and they refitted it in May. It was ready brown before. You can see it's now lime green. And you just want to walk up the stairs to go into the store. And then you see here at the top this beautiful carpet, a bespoke design to simulate mixing of paint, but they've clad it around the columns as well. And these gorgeous wooden pieces of furniture. And then in the ceiling, you have this plywood, and you can see the shelves on the wall look like they've peeled down from the ceiling. So there's a real organic sense to the space. And then you just saw an image of a young lady there, Mariana, who has helped out with numerous store tours for me. Her knowledge and enthusiasm for not only the brand, but the architecture of that building is incredible. And she tells all the stories of how it's designed, answers every single question from the most cynical retailer that may be coming into the space as well. And it's just a wonderful example of how a brand has made the most of a particularly unique physical space. And number one, no surprise from what I was saying earlier, is Buck Mason, this stunning store that has managed to combine a number of really interesting elements to create one of the most atmospheric stores, wonderfully analog, as I call it. And I know, Sandy, you were just making reference to stores that are more analog. And you see here there's a fab book wall that's illuminated. The books are laid out, not neatly and concisely. It feels like when you rummage through them, put them back. They have a beautiful cafe at the front, beautiful coffee, but it feels integrated into the space, unlike a lot of brands where you do feel like it's a money-making venture to add a caffeine offer in the corner. You have sofas on 2 floors. People sit down. You see people sort of sat there working and chatting to their friends. One of my favorite features is the vinyl record offer, and they have 2 separate audio experiences on the ground floor and upstairs. And you will often see people sat cross-legged on the floor, flicking through the vinyl collections. You can request to get music played, although the store staff did explain to me they will set the mood for different days of the week with the music. We came in on a Saturday and there was Fleetwood Mac, ABBA, Tina Turner playing. I went back in on the Sunday and it was Marvin Gaye, and they said, "Will we just tone it down a little bit?" So you capture these wonderful analog elements, and they all combine to create one of the most stunning stores I've ever been into. And I always say to anyone who's in New York, go in. And I had some cynical people going, "I don't get it. Why are we going to this store?" And literally within seconds of walking inside, they turned around to me and go, "Okay, I get this." And they hadn't even walked to the back of the store or gone upstairs. So a worthy winner as far as I'm concerned.
Fantastic.
I'm going to jump in and say that was my favorite part of the store. The fact that you could literally just sit on the ground and just flip through the vinyls. I was like, what a seemingly random choice, but also very intentional, because that's a detail that it almost feels misplaced, like an accident. Like, oh, like, what did they just put this here? But then you go onto the ground, and you start flipping through, and you're like, oh, I see what they're doing here. So I just wanted to call that out. That was my favorite part.
They're doing so
Cool.
well with their stores because they're different like the other ones, but have that same ethos, which I love. So because I was in Nashville in December and I visited the Buck Mason there, and it has, I mean, obviously it's not the same exact store, but it has the same kind of vibe, and that openness and that welcoming for you to just linger as well, and have conversations. I mean, people are just having meetings there, just sitting there and talking and enjoying the music and the scents and all that stuff. It's just an amazing store environment.
Definitely.
And also, I was just having this here, if you can see, it's the Meadow. It's almost, as you can see, done. It's like little, I'm saving it. It's like little trinkets of the truffle salt. It's so good. I love that shop as well.
It's my go-to little secret store. Buck Mason is becoming quite well known. Tiffany's obviously well known. the Meadows, I thought it was my own personal secret until Matthew included it on his list, and I realised good stores get noticed by a
Yeah.
lot of people. So I'm pleased that other people know them as well now.
Yeah, I also on that street next door too, I also really like Goods for the Study, which is like all of the pens
Yes,
and stationery. It's amazing.
gorgeous.
All right, Alicia, on to you. Like we'll start with your retail miss.
With my downers.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we already talked about one of the downers, which was Gymshark. But there was a caveat there, right? That it's still a new store and they're still getting their footing.
Yeah.
My other one, I don't know, this may be a bit controversial for some people. I think the Skim store on Fifth Avenue is such a snooze. I'm sorry. Like, I get it. I get it. It's the aesthetic of Kim. It's the, very simple color palette, the
Yeah.
neutrals, the gradients, the whole thing,
Mm.
the big standout sculpture as soon as you walk in. Wow, very cool. But like, there's definitely a metaphor here. But once you get through the entrance, once you get through the surface, there's not much going on in there. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's
It feels like
fine.
a physical. It feels like a physical Instagram post. And again,
Exactly. It's an Instagram
it,
moment. You
there's
snap, but then what?
yes, and you need a little bit more on the physical store. This is another example, a bit like when Gymshark first opened in London, is learning the difference of social media and a physical store. And I
Yes.
agree, I don't think Skipping's got it right yet.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, listen, as a brand, Skims has nailed the whole Instagram moment. They know what it takes to push people's buttons and make things go viral. That is the essence of like what the founder or co-founder, I guess you could say, has built her brand off of. Great distillation of it and application of it. But I was hoping for a little something more considering all of the buzz around it. So that's all I'll say.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's become a little bit of like a tourist stop or even just
Hmm.
for people to come in and as you said, take a photo. It's a stunning building though. I mean the
Oh,
mansion
yeah,
and things
of
like it's like on
course.
Fifth Avenue. Yeah,
And
they
if you're gonna
could.
be by Cartier, I feel like you gotta bring it. Like you gotta step it up a
Yeah.
little bit.
But it has a kind of a same, I guess the whole theme too is like the metal lane thing as well. It's kind of just people go to have a photo and say that you're there. Um and who's to say if that's good or bad? I don't know. It's just maybe that's how for
It depends on how they're
certain
measuring
demographics.
success.
Yeah, exactly. For certain
Yeah, and they
demographics.
are
Yes.
Yeah.
growing. Like they
And
are opening more stores, so something must be working. But again, it could be a difference of aesthetic preference,
Yeah.
but it just
Yeah.
didn't do much for me.
Yeah.
So
it feels a bit like the Target store. I'm going to be curious to see Target and Skims are still there in that iterate next year.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure they both will be.
I think Skims will be, Target no. But the I'm interested to see, and you'll have to tell us, Ian, what Skims looks like on Regent Street in London.
that's a good
I,
test.
Yeah, I haven't been in yet, so I'll have to go and have a look and see how it compares as well. You kind of hope, major city flagship that there's similarity or consistency in what they're doing, but it'd be interesting to see.
Well, she was just streaming from Selfridges. In they had the pop-up with North Face and Skims
Ah, right.
inside upstairs in her area upstairs in Selfridges. Um so we'll see. I mean, Selfridges loves Kim, so
Yes. I mean, I will be very open and honest. I'm probably not the target audience, so professionally I might notice, but as a shopper, it might pass me by.
Well, I remember going there to the front to I think at the corner shop when they had the Skims pool swim, and I was there fascinated taking photographs, and you and Jack were just all like ignoring the Skims part. Yeah, it's not the
Yes,
demographic.
yes.
All right, so let's move
No.
on, Alicia, to your now. I'm gonna tee up your top five.
Okay. All right. So number 5 is the Uniqlo location on Fifth Avenue. And the reason why I picked this one is because it is a more performance-based brand. It's basics. It's not a Louis Vuitton, right? It's not a Tiffany. And what I really liked is that they remained true to the technical roots of the brand with not a lot of hypey tech, not a lot of glitz, but there were still pops and moments in the store that really instilled the cultural connection of this location to New York City. So there was a cafe, which was on the second floor. So Ian, you're talking about how to get people upstairs, right? And as soon as you walked in, you smelled those coffee roasts, right? So that really drew people upstairs, and that is where they had the more high touch moments, the more in-depth content and styling guide, and like as you can see, screens that share that more lifestyle content. They also had a customization station and a repair station. So I just thought this was a really nice melding of elements, but in a way that still felt very true to the Uniqlo brand and didn't feel like it was trying to do too much. Like it would just really felt very organic. And this was just a really great example that shows you don't have to be a luxury brand to include all of these great elements that we've been talking about today. And it did have a very, very great self-checkout station where you don't have to scan anything. You just drop the products in the little basket. It tracks everything, calculates everything. I was able to check out within a minute on my own. So invisible tech doing the work, but also culture and commerce coming together in a great way. All right. And number 4, Telfar. This is actually a store that I saw with Ian's tour. Never got a chance to go in on my own. And I may seem a bit hypocritical because, this store is obviously all white. So I'm talking about Skims, being kind of boring. But what I love about this space is that it really is a palette for so much more than just selling goods, right? This is a space where events happen, where they're doing live streams of product drops, where they're doing runway shows. So this shows that, the store is a destination for so much more than just shopping. And I just really loved the curvature of the space. I loved that even though everything was white, there was integrations of chrome, different textures like leather, vinyl, and the screens had multiple purposes. They shared, lifestyle content, product content, but then there was a live video feed of the main blank wall where they do like their live streams. So it was just a really nice combination of elements. And I love on the screen here, you'll see on the right hand side that little browsing space where you can see all of the different handbags. And it kind of reminded me of like, it's off of in the Chinatown area. So you can see it's kind of reminiscent of some of the markets and restaurants that you see in that area. So it's just like a really nice nod, I would say, to the area that this store was in. All right, what's next? Okay. So Mont Blanc on Madison Avenue, this is a really great example of an established brand with a lot of heritage, and it has managed to create a very dynamic and warm space that welcomes everyone, whether you're a current customer that, spends thousands of dollars on your writing implements and you rely on the brand, are loyal to the brand, or you're a possible new customer and you're just looking to see what they offer. And the combination of products in the store is really great from a product, not just a product category perspective. So it has everything from pens to watches to fragrance to accessories, but also price point. So again, if you're new to the brand, there is a way for you to make that entry without spending hundreds upon hundreds or thousands of dollars on one thing. But the one thing that stands out to me is those little moments that create that dwell time. So there's a nib bar where people can actually test the pens right with them. They can even write a letter and send it off. There's a post, as you can see on the screen here, to ship letters out. And there's all of these little whimsical elements that feel tied to the brand history. There's a lot of background of like the founding of the brand, the history of the brand, the craftsmanship, and there are little nods to the generations that this brand has existed. Old books, little tchotchkes of old automobiles, a lot of paperwork, art that's integrated throughout. Kind of reminds me of like it makes sense that they have a partnership with Wes Anderson, right? Because there's a lot of Wes Anderson vibes happening in this location. So, pleasantly surprised because as such a looks high-end brand like Montblanc, the fact that they have this experience that feels actually very welcoming, and the associates are welcoming too, is just a really nice change of pace from what you would typically see on Madison Avenue or even Fifth Avenue. All right, number two. I think there's a session coming up that's going to be digging into this store specifically, but I loved this store so much. And granted, I am an espresso power user, fan, stan, whatever you want to call me. I love my Nespresso. But I knew I had to check out this location just to see how they brought more technical products, seemingly more routine-based products into an in-store experience that was actually worthy of Fifth Avenue. And boy, oh boy, did they not disappoint. So there's art integrated throughout. So we talked about art and commerce really coming together. As you can see, gallery walls that lead up to the lounge area. When you walk in, though, there's perfect. So on the screen here, this is reminiscent of like Grand Central Station. It's always flipping through and changing messages and changing pictures. So it went from like a rainbow pattern to an actual coffee pattern. Just like a really fun, whimsical moment where like you're literally being welcomed into the space. A lot of areas for lounging, relaxing, including a full bar where you can, talk to the barista and get a specially made drink. But they also have this really cool sensory area. So as soon as you walk in, they have all of the different pods, where they are in the world, what type of roast it is, and you can actually squeeze the little perfume squeezers that they have in like the old school perfumes, squeeze it, and it activates the scent. So you can smell what the roast smells like before you even make the coffee and taste it. So a really great way to kind of get your senses tingling and get you excited to try something, because all throughout the store there are different coffee machines where you can test the pods. And then again, you can go to there's a lounge area and a bar where you can get something specially made for you. The final thing I'll note is the lower level is dedicated to that, again, that relaxing, that dwelling. They also have a vinyl station. They have coffee table books. So it's almost like Book Mason-ish, but a little bit more elevated. It feels truly like a secret lounge or like a hideaway that you would find at a really cool hotel or bar, and it's very private, it's very relaxing, and there's no one breathing down your neck saying, hey, you need any help, hey, you need any help, hey, you want something. It really is a space for enjoyment, and I really appreciated that. Okay. Finally, Gentle Monster. And granted, this store was closed when we were in for NRF, but I think New York, New Jersey, they have a store in American Dream Mall. Anywhere you can find a Gentle Monster store, go. If only for the intrigue, the artistry, the bombasticness, just to experience it. And what I love so much about this brand is that they understand that art is part of the experience. They understand that it's so much more than just a product, and this is a moment. This is a environment for people to be fully engulfed in everything that the brand represents. For better, like if you really love it, and for some people for worse, it's like, oh, where am I? What is even happening here, right? But the point is they have a point of view. They know who they are as a brand. They know what they stand for. They know what they want to create for their customer, and they follow through every step of the way. It's really the epitome of like, if you're gonna go big. And I really appreciate that, and the fact that they're always testing, new sorts of installations. They're always testing new themes, animatronics, sculpture. Again, art and commerce really coming together.
Lovely. And that's actually their current activation at the moment with what I was sharing on the Instagram. So I have to go
Okay,
check that
great.
out. Yeah, 'cause it's always
Yeah.
changing and they always like collaborate with the stars and celebrities that will resonate with their customers.
Their Tilda Swinton campaign is incredible. Again, just a really great example of bringing celebrity into the mix in an unexpected way. But like when it happens, you're like, oh yeah, like that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And that's always what you're looking for as a brand.
And thanks for the
One of the
shout
things
on.
I love about,
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry, talking. I was just one thing that I love about Gentle Monster is their stores come out of the marketing budget, not capex, because they understand what they're
Hmm.
trying to do with their stores. It's marketing engagement, and you can also buy a pair of glasses while you're there. But and it's the one brand where I've seen them push that integration of what a store is doing into the whole overall marketing mix. They push it further than any other brand. It's fantastic.
Yeah, agree. All right, so we're running out of time, and I wanted to leave just one last minute for you to give your top piece of advice for retail. I mean, you can make it fashion or beauty, whatever you like to pick. Um, your top piece of advice for 2026.
Do you want me to go first?
Yep, you can go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So it's something we touched on earlier, and that is really how you get stores to embody the brand. We've talked about things like Buck Mason and Gentle Monster, where you feel the DNA of the brand is absolutely delivered in a physical space. And we're seeing more and more of this happening, whilst also considering that a lot of interaction on social media drives people into store. Likewise, going to a flagship store drives you to buy online, that integration. So to me, it's the use of the store to embody the brand and also connect properly with customers. And I'm seeing it improve more and more at the moment.
Mhm. Alicia?
Great. I'm going to do a yes and because I think my recommendation is kind of tied to this point, which is don't be afraid to push the creative limits, especially if it relates to that self-expression. From a trend perspective, we are seeing a seismic pivot back to more maximalism, more vibrance, more whimsy, not just in fashion, but in interior design. And of course, that reflects even the spaces that people want to go in commercially. So look to brands like, I mean, when we talk about brands that have done this well, Glossier, of course, always comes to mind for me because even though they always had that very distinct color palette, they always brought in moments where there was a bit of whimsy, a bit of art pops. If there was technology, it was always through the lens of fun. But also brands like Fui, like if you look up
Mhm.
their brand and their store locations, there is art, there is interactivity, there is vibrance, there is life in stores. And I think that's really the key thing to remember here. Again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. Commerce shopping is inherently a cultural experience, it's a community experience. So you want to create those spaces where not just where people feel welcome, but where people feel like, like I belong here. This place represents everything that I want and need in this moment, right? And that ties to design, aesthetics, but also the events and the merchandise that you're including, the collabs you drop in store, the partnerships, all of these elements come together. They culminate into like that true intersection of who you are as a brand and what you want to create culturally and as a community. And I think again, New York City is such a great example of this because there is such a vibrant dynamic of people who live there, people who commute in, tourists, and no matter their differences or where they came from, they all can still go into a store and feel like they belong. And I think that remember what makes people feel like they belong with your brand.
Yeah. Fantastic points, guys. I'm hoping that retailers will listen and we'll see more of these kinds of spaces because not every space has to be for everyone. And it kind of that's why the whole thing is you have your personality and your customers will be drawn to you because you're putting it out there through and representing it through your spaces. So I'm excited to see what will come in New York and if we have the same conversation next year, what we'll see develop in the city. But thank you so much for your time and sharing your perspectives and your store picks. I'm excited to also actually check out Mont Blanc because I haven't been. So thanks for the shout
It's
for that
amazing.
one.
Me too.
And thank you so much, Ian. I know it's late on a Friday, so I'll let you both get back to either
Okay.
work or start your weekend. So thank you so much, and thank you for everyone for listening or if you're watching the replay. Also, one last thing, check out
Thank
next
you.
week, Nespresso, and we're going to have a couple more experts on. So see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.